Weird News Weekly with Ben and Reid.
It is that time once again, time for another episode of Weird News Weekly. My name is Ben Rogers. This guy's name is Reid Marnie. How's it going, Reid?
Ben, I'm going pretty well, and first of all, I've got to get this out of the way. Well, not get it out of the way, but...
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
I'm not just clapping because I haven't seen Ben for 2 weeks and I'm happy to see him. Mm-hmm. No, Ben got engaged on the weekend.
Did. If you've been following along with our Twitter feed, you would have seen that we didn't have a show last weekend or last week because the weekend leading up to that, we didn't really have any time to record because I was away on an extended holiday weekend, so I could propose to my girlfriend, who is now my fiancée. And
a holiday/secret mission.
Yes, a holiday/secret mission. It's a regular trip that we go on every year, so I just kind of, use that situation to go, okay, this is kind of our special place that we like to go away to. Let's make it even more special on top of that. So we got some more memories to add to it when we go back in the future.
Jeez, thank goodness she said yes. Otherwise, your favourite holiday destination would have been really awkward going there next year.
Just be like, stuff this place, never going there again. We have to pick somewhere new.
Let's go somewhere else. Enough of this place.
Tell you what,
no, it's good news. It's great news.
Interesting though, a little news tidbit from this week that tried to be news that wasn't quite news. Apparently people are in mourning. iPhone fans are in mourning at the moment because they've changed over some emojis on the iPhone. Apparently they've redrawn all their food emojis, or most of their food emojis. One of the most popular ones that people use to represent something else. You know how they used the eggplant, I think it was, to represent a male appendage when they were sending text messages and stuff. They also used the peach emoji to represent a butt, because it looked like someone's bum. And now it's been redrawn, so it doesn't look like a butt anymore. It actually looks like a proper peach, and people are pissed off.
Why did they do it to begin with? I mean, save the hassle.
Exactly. So it's going to be one of those things where you just see declining usage of the peach emoji over the coming weeks just because people can't use it as a butt anymore. I love this one though. Genevieve on Twitter, she said, OMG no, they are killing the butt-shaped peach emoji. How are we going to text about booties now? Don't?
Everything needs an emoji these days. Just let it go, people. Move on.
As far as this show is concerned, though, I have more Apple news on the way. Just because there's so much Apple news going around this week. It's not because I'm an Apple fanboy. I'm actually quite the opposite, even though I do have Apple products. But I'm not like, yay, Apple, everything else can go jump off a cliff or anything like that. But there is a woman over in China who has used iPhones to her advantage in the form of selling them to get money. But how she actually obtained those iPhones is a little bit dodgy, and we'll talk about that soon. As well as that, Apple's latest MacBook Pro range. Apparently, the cost of the computer itself isn't the only cost that's going to hit your hip pocket. There's going to be another cost on top of that because of how they've now made the new MacBook Pro range. And we'll go into detail about that a little bit later on. How about you, Reid? What do you got?
Well, I'm going to talk about the app that is so popular TV shows and movies are referencing the name Uber wherever they go. So I was watching How I Met Your Mother on Sunday night. The guy said, I'm just going to Uber at home. Yeah. I mean, they're not even saying I'm going to get a taxi home. I'm going to Uber at home. So it's used as a bit of a reference now. Well, the app is going through a bit of a change. The first time in over 4 years. Now, obviously, it hasn't been here that long in Australia. It's been very popular overseas. But they're making some big changes. And when I say changes, mate, I mean massive changes. Not only will you be able to order an Uber, you can actually take it somewhere and you can personalize the app so it'll get to know you a little bit better. So that way there'll be a bit of a connection between you and Uber. That may sound a little bit weird, but I'll explain more later on in the show. Also, there's a very funny video I happened to come across a few days ago. It's concerning one of our biggest supermarkets here in Australia, and it's got nothing to do with anything they sell at the supermarket. It's just a video that is funny. Okay. It is very funny, and it's getting a lot of talk about this video, and I'm ecstatic that a big company has finally brought this attention to Australia. So thank you, supermarket chain. I'll explain more to Ben, but it's regarding a television show that you and I both grew up with.
Okay. Sounds interesting. Well, first of all, before we move on again, I guess you gave me a round of applause for the whole engagement side of things. I guess I have to return a round of applause right now for people who are watching the video of this. You're repping a Melbourne United jersey. Very nice choice.
It's not really looking good on the YouTube because of the whole reverse situation.
Yeah.
I got a new Melbourne United jersey. I was really happy with it. I saw it in store last week. I thought, you know what? I want to own one of those. So I got it.
For anyone who's possibly listening around the world who doesn't know who Melbourne United is, it's the Melbourne basketball team in the National Basketball League here in Australia. So it's the basketball team that I've supported for the last 3 years now since they've been in the competition. And Reid's jumped on board as well. It's good to see him there repping the jersey too. So good stuff. But as far as the show is concerned, if you want to follow along with the show socially, you can do so on Twitter, at Weird News Weekly on Twitter. Tumblr, we're thinking about just kicking it out the window, really, because it's not adding anything to the show. So we're just like, hey, Tumblr, you can go jump, mate.
Swipe left.
Swipe exactly. Left. So Tumblr is pretty much going to be no more as far as the show is concerned. So anyone who is interacting with us on Tumblr rather than Twitter, sorry, but you're going to have to make the jump over to Twitter now. That's our only social networking platform that you're going to be able to find us on. But if you'd like to listen to the show, of course, also on Soundcloud, Stitcher and iTunes, and also the video version of the show on YouTube, you can check out every single week. Just search Weird News Weekly on all those platforms. Rate, review and subscribe right there. But more weird news to come for you soon. Reid, my first Apple-themed story here comes from Shenzhen, China. A Chinese woman is being praised and scolded at the same time on social media after reportedly getting 20 men who she considered to be her boyfriends to give her iPhones as presents.
As presents?
Yeah. So she's got, goodness. Apparently she's dating 20 guys at the same time. She has 20 boyfriends and they've all just kind of gone, hey, we need to give you a present. What would you like? And she's like, hey, I'd like an iPhone. Not sure if these guys even know about each other, that she's seeing 19 other guys as well as the guy that she's in front of right now on the side, But all of them have gotten her a present. They bought her a brand new iPhone 7 and she was just like, hey, I can take advantage of this situation. So she's kept one iPhone. She's still got 19 to spare. So what was she going to do here? She thought to herself, I need to get the money for these because I only need one iPhone. And she's thought, hey, I'll just sell them off and, get all the money from those 19 iPhones. And then I will use that as a house deposit.
Oh my goodness, I like that style.
So it's like the shadiest way of getting your deposit for your house. Yeah. It's one of the shadiest things that I've ever seen. Not only is she dating 20 guys, but she's also asked those 20 guys to buy her a brand new iPhone so she could sell off 19 of them and get a deposit for a house.
So presumably before this happened, she had one phone to contact the 20 guys she was dating. So she's gone from having 1 to 20. Jeez, that's a genius way of getting a home loan.
So, actually, no, she sold all 20. So she's obviously just got her own iPhone already and just thought, hey, I'll just keep this one. It's doing me fine. Let's just sell all 20 of my iPhones that have been given to me by my random 20 boyfriends. And apparently she's had a grand total of nearly $18,000, which she used to put on down as a house deposit.
Jeez, wouldn't you love it if you were one of the guys and you found out this story and he's one of the guys that's probably someone you know and it's like, oh, dude, you were dating her, but I was dating her. So we're all into it. Okay.
And now she's put a deposit down for this, fantastic one-bedroom apartment in some crazy-looking Chinese building. And it's just like, yes, this is all for me. Thank you, 20 boyfriends.
So no sort of retribution for her then. So it's no sort of guys getting all angry and annoyed that, they've fallen for this trap or scam or whatever you prefer to call it.
It's basically just her getting backlash on social media. I really don't think the guys have any say in this situation whatsoever. It's just her basically going, hey everyone, look what I did. I scammed 20 guys and I got them to pay for my house deposit all by buying the iPhones that I sold off. And they're just kind of like, okay, yep. No worries. Thanks for that. I just shelled out $1,000 for an iPhone and now you're selling it on eBay. Great.
Do we know how this sort of story became public? Because, I mean, it seems it's a great story to come across, but do we know how this has been made so public?
Well, it seems like she was talking to people around her office that she works at, and she was very proud about spreading the story around. She was like, "Hey guys, I've got 20 boyfriends. They all bought me an iPhone," and apparently they were worth. She got about $890 for each phone that she was selling off to other people. So all that adds up to around $18,000. And yeah, she's put that down on a house deposit, and she's just going around bragging about it, apparently.
I think we've been getting this whole living life thing quite wrong. Maybe we need to get into this whole situation. Forget the whole working for a living to pay off your home loan. Just date 20 random people, get them to fall in love with you, buy an iPhone, and there you go. You got your home loan done and dusted and sorted.
Well, it's kind of like the whole. There's this whole internet craze going on at the moment of like Kickstarter campaigns and GoFundMe and all that kind of stuff. And people are just funneling money into all these different projects and things like that. And you're supposedly getting rewards, and I use the term rewards in inverted commas very, very loosely. And it's basically just, if you fund our new album or our TV show or something like that, I'll give you a set of drumsticks that I used when I played this song. And it's just like, wow, a pair of chipped drumsticks that I can't use because I don't have a drum kit. Thanks, mate.
I had a friend of mine who gave money to one of those websites, and the thing he was giving money to, they didn't make enough money, but they didn't donate his money back to him. So he essentially lost like $100 to this organisation that if they had have got enough money, they would have made this new, I think it was a new store where they sell stuff. They didn't make enough money, and he asked for his money back. No, didn't give it back to him. They didn't raise enough money, but they didn't donate his money back. So be careful when you give money to these Kickstarter campaign people.
Now, there's one situation like a Kickstarter campaign that one of my friends did actually get behind, and it was a drummer on YouTube. His name's Cobus. And he was trying to put together a band so he could, get an album out there of his drumming with a accompanying band. They ended up calling themselves, what was it? Oh, I can't think of the name off the top of my head, but it's just gone and escaped me all of a sudden. But basically they put out this album and you put in money, and if you put in enough money, you got an album sent to you straight away as soon as it was released. So that's a good reward there in itself. Everyone who donated towards this over, I think it was like $15, they got an album, and if you put in a bit more money, you got an album and something else, and more money, album and something else a little bit bigger. So my friend got the album, access to all these different features of the album via their website, and also a set of drumsticks, which are actually up here on my shelf at the moment because he gave them to me as a present because we both love this drummer that we see on YouTube. And that's the kind of situation where I've got no problems giving money to someone like that. But as far as the ones who are just like, hey guys, I'm making videos on YouTube, and your reward, if you fund me, is you get to see them a day before everyone else. And people are just like, yes, have my money, have it all.
There's too many websites. I mean, if you go onto those Kickstarter, GoFundMe campaigns, I'm amazed at the amount of websites they have. Yeah. I mean, surely there are people who just come up with their fake ideas. Oh, let's create this website and we'll get all this money from people. No, I mean, surely there are scams out there.
But then again, I guess who needs Kickstarter campaigns when you can just have 20 boyfriends who are going to buy you an iPhone each, and then you can just sell them off and put them down as a house deposit?
I mean, forget, I think it's actually quite remarkable she was able to carry on with this. I mean, most people, as we know in life, most people struggle with just one relationship, let alone cheating on their partner with someone else. I mean, she's been able to do this 20 times.
Yeah.
I mean, it's quite remarkable, really.
It's funny, though, because she's been bragging about this quite a lot, apparently, and media outlets have tried to contact her workplace because they've figured out where she works, and they were like, hey, can we talk to such and get an interview? And her company has said, sorry, she doesn't want to do any interviews. She doesn't want to talk about the situation. It's like, no wonder, because if people get wind of this, it's going to be one of those situations where all these 20 guys are going to come after her with pitchforks.
I bet you someone in her office probably just had enough of the whole, she's talking about those boyfriends again.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm contacting him TMZ. I'm going to tell them what's going on with her.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that's probably what's going on.
But if you'd like to read the full story about this whole situation, jump on the Twitter account right now, at Weird News Weekly on Twitter. You will find all the details right there. Reid, we are talking about the company that Americans can't pronounce properly, even though they think that they do, Uber. And they say Uber. And it's not.
Uber.
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 What's going on with Uber, Reid?
Well, as we know, this is one of the biggest apps in the world. Taxi drivers can't stand Uber for good reason because they're very popular. I'm not sure if you saw this during the week, but we had the whole Melbourne Cup situation at Flemington this week. First time they had an Uber rank at the racetrack.
Oh, wow.
So not only could you just get a taxi home and a train home and all that sort of stuff, you could also get an Uber home.
Another thing that they also had at the Melbourne Cup was a lady riding a wheelie bin like it was a horse because she was blind drunk, but that's a completely different story of the day, so we'll just keep moving on.
We will. There's quite a few of those drunk stories. But so look, what they're trying to do is, we know how popular they are. Well, over in America, they've just announced this massive new relaunch of the app. Now, this is the first time in 4 years the app will have any sort of massive update. I mean, they have all kinds of updates all the time, but this is a major update. Okay. All right, so what they're planning on doing is they're planning on making the app more personalized. So nowadays, where you get an Uber just to have get a lift home or whatever, it wants to get to know you a bit better, so it can sort of help you order things better. So one of the things it wants to do is it wants to link itself to your calendar in your phone, because what do we put in our calendars in our phone? Everything, apparently. We put in our haircut appointments, we put in our date appointments and all kinds of other stuff. So it wants to get to know us a bit better.
Is this going to be one of those things where it's sending us push notifications every time a calendar event pops up? They're just like, oh, do you need an Uber ride for that?
Pretty much along those lines, because it wants to sort of help you a bit better, because they're making a lot of money out of just the current Uber service. But when you're making money, all you want to do is make more money.
Exactly.
So there's a way they can make money out of this. Now, what they've done is they've partnered with a bunch of organizations and a bunch of companies that need sort of Uber's assistance to sort of help their business be better, like cafes, for example. They're going to partner with a bunch of cafes. I think Starbucks, they're one of the big ones who are going to sign up with Uber, so that way you can, it can know where there's a cafe in your area and say, oh, we noticed where you are, there's a cafe. Do you need a lift to get there? And little things like that. So I don't know. I think that may work, and a lot of people are sort of wondering why they're doing this, but there's money to be made from it, so that's why.
It's going to work for sure. If Uber can get in with all your calendar details, and every time you have something to go to, it's going to give you a push notification saying, hey, you can get an Uber for that. There's one ready and waiting in your area if you want to go somewhere. Then, yeah, it's going to do absolute wonders for them. But I want to ask, Reid, have you ever actually taken an Uber anywhere before?
I have not. The last time I had a taxi ride, for example, was 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So no, I'm not a regular user of it because I've never used it.
I've only ever taken a taxi, I think, maybe 4 or 5 times in my entire life. And so on top of that, needing an Uber ride somewhere, I've never even had to worry about it. But I've heard all these different stories of when you get into an Uber, you get certain things, like there'll be bottles of water waiting for you in the car, and there'll be like snacks in the doors and stuff like that. And it's just like, whoa, what's with all the perks of the Uber rides? Am I missing out on something here?
And one of the things a lot of people do like about the service is it's both user rated. So not only do you rate your driver, but they rate you as a passenger.
Yeah.
So that way other Uber drivers know sort of if they want to pick you up or if they want to take a chance and pick you up if you're a bad passenger versus a good passenger. So it pays in life to be a good person. So that's what they want you to do.
And also as far as taxi drivers are concerned, though, it's one of those things where if you're out at night and you go to get a taxi and you say, okay, I want to go to this location, and a taxi driver says, oh, no, well, I'm not going that way, so I'm not going to take you. And then it's just like, well, an Uber driver wouldn't do that. They'll come and take me wherever I want to go. And then all of a sudden the taxi driver's just like, hey, yep, okay, we'll go there. Let's go.
One of the things about this whole new update to the app a lot of people don't seem to like is the privacy issue. Because what you're going to be doing now is you're going to be giving Uber more of your personal information. People don't like that. A lot of the privacy advocate groups aren't too happy. They're getting up in arms and saying, how dare Uber, they make money, how dare they? So a lot of companies aren't really too happy with Uber at the moment, but they're a big company. They're going to make a lot of money from this new update, and I dare say they're not going to be too worried about what people think about privacy.
Well, when it comes down to it, basically they're streamlining their service to almost become a social media app that gives you rides somewhere. So it's working out very, very well for them in the end.
Look, it's the app of the 21st, century. They're very modern. They know what people like. They're very good on their social media. So they're very much for the younger market, whereas I don't think taxis really catered to that very well, if at all. So this is where Uber are doing really well. They've really got the massive use of that market. I can see this working wonders for them, and I just fear. I don't fear for them, but I just don't think taxi drivers are going to last much longer compared to Uber. But that's just my.
Even like we mentioned with the attitude of some taxi drivers, like one of the last times that I've known to have taken a taxi, I got into the taxi itself. It was in the line of taxis there outside of Spencer Street Station, or whatever it's called now, Southern Cross Station there. I've jumped into the taxi that was the second one in the line. And I said, I need to go to such and such. And he's just like, why didn't you jump in the first taxi? Because he was like foreign dude from Europe somewhere. And I was just like, dude, why would I jump in the first taxi? It's for someone who's in a wheelchair or something like that. I don't need that kind of service. And he's like, jump into that one. And I'm just like, dude, I'm not going to take up a taxi that's meant for someone who's in a wheelchair or something, mate. That's just rude. Take me to where I need to go, or I'll go to the next taxi behind you. And he's just like, oh, fine, where are we going? And it's like 5-minute trip to wherever he needed to go. And then we, went on with the trip. But it's just like that kind of rudeness isn't going to get taxi drivers anywhere, whereas an Uber driver is quite happy to take you wherever you want to go, because that's how they make their money straight away.
Exactly. And it's all about feeling safe in their car, making sure it's a friendly and, clean vehicle. And I think there's been way too many bad experiences in a taxi. I know we're sort of getting on the whole, we're having a go at taxis and all that, but really, I mean, I can't help but tell a lot of people who have had good experiences. A lot of people I speak to about taxis never say a great thing about taxis.
Yeah.
So maybe that says it all about taxis.
Well, if you want to read the full details on this story, you can do so right now. They're waiting for you at our Twitter accounts, at Weird News Weekly on Twitter. You will find everything you need to know right there. Read my second Apple story for the week, because that seems to be the trending thing that's going around with news at the moment, is all about the brand new MacBook Pro. It's just something that Apple has recently done a big launch for in one of their big, conference things that they do. It's a whole new range of MacBook Pros. You might have seen the fancy new feature that they've got. It's this little, touch screen at the top of the keyboard there that you can kind of flick stuff into and out of, and then just flick it across and do all these funky typing things. It's just, another pointless feature as far as I'm concerned. But hey, Apple seems to think it's good, and a lot of Apple enthusiasts also think it's good. So maybe I'm just wrong in the whole situation, and who cares? But the whole thing with their new MacBook Pros that they've got going on here is that they are the thinnest MacBook they've ever made in the history of MacBooks.
How thin are we talking here?
Well,
very thin or extremely thin?
It's like basically the thinnest computer you could possibly think of that they've put out compared to previous ones. And they had like the MacBook Air and stuff like that. Now, the MacBook Air was thin enough as it is, but this is even, thinner than that, apparently. But that also comes with a few issues for people who want to buy the new MacBook Pro. And that is in the form of ports.
Ooh.
Now, on top of the price of the computer itself, you're already shelling out a couple of $1,000 for the base model of the MacBook Pro. The 13-inch MacBook Pro, you'll already shell out a couple of $1,000 for the base level model, right? Or nearly up towards $2,000, but not quite there for the base level model. But on top of that, with the fact that all these ports have been taken off the side because the MacBook now is too thin, you're also having to put more money on top of that to buy all these adapters to actually make stuff that you already have existing, like hard drives and all that kind of stuff, able to actually go into the side of your computer.
Oh.
So no longer is there any USB 3 ports. That's the standard USB port that you would see on any computer at the moment. They've all been replaced by USB Type-C ports, which are going to be eventually the new industry standard. These are now thinner ports. So Apple seems to be ahead of the curve as far as putting in these USB Type-C ports into their computer. But USB 3 is gone. HDMI is also gone. SD card slot is gone. And even Apple's MagSafe connector port is gone.
Oh, jeez. Just getting rid of everything.
So you have 4 of these USB Type-C ports on the side, and basically they're the spot where you put in all these extra dongles that you'll need to actually use the things that you want to use with your MacBook. So if you already have, like, I've got an iMac that I'm using right now to do this show.
Yeah.
I don't have the iMac that has the internal CD drive. I have an external disk drive here. So if I wanted to use that external disk drive with a new MacBook Pro, which will be coming out whenever, I'd have to get an adapter that goes from a USB-C to a USB 3 and then be able to plug that in to actually make the CD drive actually work. If I wanted to plug in my USB hard drive, I would also have to have the adapter that goes from USB-C to USB 3 and then plug my hard drive into the computer.
It's like having a massive extension cable for your TV and connecting everything in the house.
If I wanted to plug in an SD card or a HDMI cable, I'd also have to get more adapters from these USB-C ports to go out to those adapters as well. So on top of the price that you're already paying for the laptop itself, you're also paying upwards of $370 worth of dongles just to make your existing technology work in this computer.
Sorry, I laughed at the word dongles. Jeez.
So actually, in this article here, they've actually got what the base price will be in US dollars. The base price of the 13-inch MacBook Pro with all the extras that you'll need to actually make all your existing tech work with this computer, you'll be shelling out $2,577.85.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Base model.
Ridiculous.
Jeez. Oh my goodness.
So it's kind of one of those things where you think, okay, Apple thinks that they're doing a good thing here by making the thinnest MacBook of all time. How light's it going to be, guys? When you're carrying it around in your backpack, you'll barely even notice it's there. But hey, you also have to carry all this other stuff to make it actually work. So that's going to add the weight on and also the extra money onto the price tag to hit your hip pocket even worse.
The whole issue about the thinnest MacBook in the world thing, is that what the people want? Do the people want like a really thin MacBook? I've never really got the whole, it has to be really super thin.
Yeah.
Really?
I've never had a problem with the thickness of a laptop. Like, I know that they've released like generations after generations after generations of laptops over the years, and they've got progressively, slightly thinner. But at the same time, they've gotten to a point where it was like, I don't know, 1.5 centimeters thick. That was fine. Like, I've got no problem with that. It didn't need to be any thinner than, 1.5 centimeters. If it's got all the ports and stuff that I need on the side of the laptop itself, just stick with that. But now making it this super thin computer with this crazy retina display and this little swipe panel at the top of the keyboard. Oh yeah, but you can't plug in anything that you actually own, guys. It just kind of makes it stupid in the end.
I'd be so worried about just touching it, because I reckon if I were to touch it, it would just break. It would be like fragile and be super thin that any sort of touch with the whole back would just collapse and cause it to break.
Well, because, you've got the 13-inch MacBook, right? And they go up in screen size from the 13 inches, I think up to around 20 or something like that. So the bigger it actually gets in surface area, I feel like the more brittle it would actually be, because it's a lot more bendy the bigger it gets and the thinner it is.
Yeah, I feel that you're right there. But I don't know. This whole issue with the whole, it has to be super thin.
Yeah.
I mean, really? Do we really need that? Do we really care? I don't know.
So it seems like a lot of people are a little bit annoyed with the whole fact that they're removing all the ports. It kind of goes along with the iPhone 7, where they've removed the headphone jack from the iPhone altogether. And now there's a whole, list of problems with the connectors that they've got going into that as well, because it's that whole extra connector that goes into the lightning port on the bottom of your phone, and you can plug in any kind of headphones that you want. But as soon as your iPhone goes into sleep mode, any kind of audio that's coming out of that stops.
Yeah, I don't think they really thought about that too much on the grand scheme of things. I thought, yeah, people will be okay with that. No. I mean, what is so wrong with the headphone jack at the bottom of the phone?
Exactly.
I mean, really? Do we have to get rid of that? I like it.
I feel like the ghost of Steve Jobs is sitting at the back of these conference rooms just watching Tim Cook babble on about all this crap, and he's like, seriously, Tim, what the hell are you doing? You're ruining everything that I've established here.
You're probably thinking he's lucky stars Samsung's Galaxy phone is blowing up in just nothing, thinking, oh, thank goodness that's happened, otherwise my company would be stuffed.
And now Google's coming along and they're just reaping all the benefits.
Well, side note, do we think that's going to be a top seller? Because I was in one of the retail stores during the week, I think it was like JB Hi-Fi or something. I saw the phone, I thought, you know what, I reckon this is going to be a top-selling phone.
Yeah.
Because I was going through it, I thought, yeah, it's not too bad, it's not too heavy, it's got all the stuff you need, and people, there's a whole issue of you're either an Apple phone or a Samsung Galaxy phone. What about the Google phone? I mean, we all use Google on a daily basis. I mean, it's a phrase now. Google it. Well, have a Google phone. I reckon it'll work. I reckon it'll sell.
Well, it could be one of those things where now that they've got their own established smartphone, they could also be doing a pairing with, because they've had their own laptops before as well, the Chromebook. So if they make the Chromebooks even better than they were previously, that could also go in with the Pixel, and you could have the Chromebook and the Pixel working together like your iPhone does with your Mac computers. And that would be just a huge boom for Google, I reckon.
I reckon it will be, but I reckon it's going to be a pretty brave person to shell out a lot of money to get a Google phone. So I reckon you have to pay someone to get one at first, and then after they love it so much, you won't be able to get it after that.
Well, yeah, I think it's one of those things where you're just kind of like, okay, the Google phone is going to be what it is, but after you've got the Google phone, you might kind of go, okay, this Google product is actually pretty good. Maybe I should try out one of these Chromebooks and see what it's like. And if Google all of a sudden go, okay, we need to keep this ball rolling a little bit more and bring out a new generation of Chromebook that is, you know, as cost efficient as the Pixel phone is, you know, for the smartphone market, then yeah, they could be seeing themselves doing really, really well, I think.
Yeah, you heard it here first. The Google phone will be a big seller come this time next year.
And hopefully they don't keep releasing, you know, random updated phones like iPhone seems to be doing every 3 months. Oh, look, guys, it's the iPhone 7. Oh, look, it's the iPhone 7S. It's the iPhone 7 SE. It's the iPhone 7 CD. Blah, blah.
I tell you what, I saw a story on the internet during the week, and I know you shouldn't believe everything you read on the internet. That's what people say, but I saw a story and it said, the iPhone 8 is coming soon. Oh. I thought, no, you've just released the iPhone 7. You can't be talking about the next one.
Yeah. No. They'll have to do like a 7S or something like that in the middle just to break it up a little bit. But you know it's coming around like, I don't know, August, September next year. It's easily going to happen.
You can put money on it. It's the safest bet in the world.
Yeah.
It'll be here before you know it.
But if you'd like to read more about this story, and if you are thinking about buying a brand new MacBook Pro and you want to read up on some of the additional tech that you will need to make your existing tech actually work with the computer, we'll post the article for you right now at the Twitter account, at Weird News Weekly on Twitter. Find all the details right there. Reid, we are talking about Woolworths here and a social media win that they've had in your eyes. That's kind of unusual for people on social media, having a social media win, but it seems like Woolworths have done so in the form of a video.
Yeah, now I came across this video purely by accident. Someone in my Facebook feed liked a video and I thought, okay, watch this video some random person has liked. Well, I was glad I came across this certain video. I'm going to read the caption and then I'll describe what the video is all about. The caption reads, over the past few months, we've continued to receive daily feedback from customers asking how to steam a ham. Being oddfellows, we steamed a good ham ready to impress any superintendent. We hope you find it cromulent. Now, of course, Ben's laughing for a reason because the phrase steamed ham comes from one of the TV shows we grew up with, probably one of our favourite TV shows of all time. That is The Simpsons, because there was a mini, it wasn't an actual part of an episode, but it was one of those mini episodes, and it was all about the steamed ham.
Yeah.
So this is what it came about, and Ben, have you ever heard of the phrase on Facebook, shit posting?
No, I can't say I have, to be honest.
I'm going to have to get you up to speed on this, not necessarily for this story, but just in general. There's a fantastic Facebook page. I think it's called Rock Bottom. Now, it's an Australian-made Facebook page, but it's all about The Simpsons. But what they do is they take little parts of episodes of The Simpsons, and they just have a phrase, and they'll turn it for anything. Okay. Now, one of my they did a story a few months ago. I'm going to get this up right now, so I'm going to have to find it. But one of my favourite phrases from The Simpsons was, put it in H.
Yeah.
Now, they do all kinds of things with put it in H. One of my favourite episodes, do you remember when Bart Simpson had his phrase, he was on, I think it was on Krusty, and he had a phrase and it went global and it was really popular and he appeared on Conan's talk show.
I didn't do it, boy.
Yes, that's it. Well, do you remember he was on the episode of The Simpsons on Conan O'Brien's talk show? Yeah. And then he started to dance. And then what did Conan say?
Only I may dance.
Well, I've got a little photo here. Now, it's going to come reversed there. So there's Crazy Vaclav from Put It in H.
Yeah.
And the phrase reads, sit perfectly still. Only I may put it in H. And that, my friend, is what shit posting is all about. It's taking one little phrase and just turning it and making a whole bunch of memes about it and just having a lot of fun. Okay. Well, what this is all about on Facebook is Woolworths. Now, this is one of Australia's biggest supermarkets. They've uploaded this video, and it's got nothing to do with what they sell. It's all about steamed hams. Now, I'm not going to play the audio because it goes for a couple of minutes, so I can quickly describe what it's all about. Two chefs, and I'm going to use that phrase very loosely because I don't think these guys are chefs at all. Yeah. But in the video, they describe themselves as chefs. Well, Michael and Will are making something called steamed hams. Now, they literally grab a ham, put it in a steamer, and they say, I don't think this is going to work, but we're going to give it a go anyway. So they put it in this steaming machine. Meanwhile, they're getting all these ingredients ready to make for a burger. They then grab the ham out of the steamer, put it into a burger, and as soon as the guy bites it, nothing happens. He just floats away.
Yeah.
And it's the funniest thing I've ever seen. I'm probably not doing it a lot of justice by talking about it, but when we put this video up on YouTube, you're gonna laugh. Now, one of the main things I do like about it is that the whole thing is Simpsons referenced. They make a whole bunch of Simpsons referenced, and there was one I picked up, and he says, because you know the episode of The Simpsons where Rainier Wolfcastle, is that the guy's name?
Yeah.
Well, he is in it, and he says, the goggles, they do nothing. In the clip, the guy, one of the chefs, has goggles on, and he says that line. But then he says, they actually do work. But as we know with social media, particularly with companies on social media, they're not very good at the whole interaction thing. Well, this is where they are doing really well. I'm going to tell you some of the responses from some of the people. For example, one guy says, this is legitimately amazing. Your marketing department deserves a raise. Woolworth says, everything's coming up Woolies. This one's good. Woolworths, the house is on fire. Woolworth says, no, Ryan, it's just the Northern Lights. This is the type of stuff that makes me want to shop at Coles, Woolworths. Then Woolworths replies, that's a lie, and you know it. And then it sort of goes on. They make more Simpsons reference. Does the steamer come in a left-handed version, Woolworths? Then Wooly says, you can try your luck at the Leftorian, Jason. And there's a whole bunch of these. There's even more. I'm just quickly going through them. Has anyone mentioned the Star Wipe also? Seriously, this is jam-packed with Simpsons reference. Good job. Why eat hamburger when you can have steak? And there's a whole bunch of them. So I don't know who's doing all their their social media, but I reckon they've learned the lesson the hard way. They've had a few bad cases in the past. I think it was 2015. They did something Anzac related. Didn't go down very well. A lot of people gave them a bunch of crap for it. Well, it looks like they've turned their fortunes around, and this is by far one of the funniest videos I've come across. It was only uploaded yesterday, already 500,000 views.
Oh, wow.
So a lot of people are really taking to it, particularly if you like The Simpsons. You don't really have to like The Simpsons to like it, but if you like The Simpsons, you'll definitely like this video. It's full of Simpsons references, and usually I'm a big fan of companies doing well on social media, and this is one of the best instances of a company doing really well on social media because they're not plugging anything for themselves.
Yeah.
It's just a random video on their own Facebook page, and it's just brilliant.
Well, it is good to see them kind of, jumping on board of the funny social media presence because in the past, we've seen a track record of that getting a lot of people on board, whatever it is that you're trying to plug. So even Aldi, for example, they do a lot of funny stuff on social media and just in their TV ads in general. And that's got a lot of people on board by going, hey, Aldi's pretty funny. Why not shop there? And they go along and shop because they've seen these funny ads and it sticks in their memory that Aldi is a thing. So it'll make Woolworths a thing now as well.
Exactly right. And one of the first points of contact nowadays is actually social media. Years ago, we would always get on the phone or we'd send an email. Now, we contact them on Facebook and Twitter and even Instagram because we want to talk to them. We want to get some information out of these guys. And for the first time, this has got nothing to do with anything they're selling. And it's just a great way of interaction with their audience because, usually they just post new ingredients or new products at their store. It's very boring. It's very blasé. This one, it's just brilliant. It's social media done right.
So if you don't think we're doing the description justice and you want to check out the video for yourself, we'll pop the link up for you right now at the Twitter account, at Weird News Weekly on Twitter. You can check out all the details of that story right there and watch the video and see the whole hilarity of the situation for yourself. Reid, that's another episode of Weird News Weekly, all said and done. After a week off, I feel like jumping back in the hot seat. We got this thing over and done with pretty quickly. It seemed like the time flew by.
Yeah, what's all that about? Usually we go for a little bit longer to record the whole situation. We have problems when we record, but that went pretty swimmingly. That's very bizarre for us.
Well, for example, we usually record these on a Thursday night, and we started off at around 8:30, and when we start recording, we don't necessarily jump into the show straight away. Even tonight, we started recording at it was about 10 to 9 by the time we actually got around to starting the show, and now it's only just gone about 9:30. So we've got through this pretty good, I think.
We did. We don't have anywhere to go after the recording finishes, but we are that good at the podcast now. We've got it down like that. We've just nailed it.
And it's funny because now that we've got to this level and just kind of gone, okay, we've nailed our format. Next week, we're going to change up the format a little bit.
Just when we get it perfect, we make a change.
Exactly. It's going to be a little bit different next week. Not too much different to what you've usually experienced with the podcast itself. And just as we've said, we were having no difficulties. It seems like Reid's just completely paused on me and just started floating around the screen. But we seem to be back on deck now, so we'll just leave that one right there. But basically what's going on next week, we're going to change things up just a little bit, kind of minimalizing the kind of produced feel of the podcast. And rather than making it sound like a radio show that's been made into a podcast, it's just going to sound like a podcast properly should, and a bit more conversational with us just, talking to each other without all this produced stuff in between and, all that kind of stuff that makes it really kind of tight and radio sounding. So it's going to be a little bit more natural, I think, next week, Reid.
Yeah, it's going to be like if Ben and I were having coffee somewhere and we just happen to have a few microphones, but it's a bit weird because Ben doesn't drink coffee, so it's got nothing like that at all, probably.
Just two guys talking crap about weird news. No interruptions, just for like half an hour, 40 minutes, whatever it goes for, just us talking about random stuff that you used to.
I reckon it's an untapped market we're going to be launching into.
Yeah, but obviously there is the difference this week of no more Tumblr. We've nixed the whole Tumblr thing because it was bringing no value to the show whatsoever. All the interaction that we had on Tumblr so far was, funnily enough, porn blogs. were following us on Tumblr. And I was just like, is this all that Tumblr is? I thought there was this whole world of, like crazy stuff going on here, like people really getting involved in interacting with each other. But it's just like, hey, this new porn blog has started following you. This new porn blog started following you as well. And I'm just like, whoa, he's up on the porn blogs, guys. I don't need to see all that crap.
Well, I've actually had no idea about Tumblr, and I did a little bit of looking into it. Yeah, probably maybe not for us, Ben. But maybe for other people of the dark wide world web.
So Tumblr is gone as of this week. If you want to get in contact with us, just do so via Twitter. If you want to interact with us as far as the show is concerned, just reply to our tweets. Simple as that. When we post our story links and all that kind of stuff, if there's something you want to say about it, just let us know on Twitter. We'll go back through your comments in that kind of way. And you can get in contact with us there. Also, if you want to comment on the YouTube video as well of the show, you can do that too. Interact with us right there and we'll reply back to your comments and all that kind of stuff. And that's how we'll keep the interaction with you guys, our audience, going. Simple as that.
Simple.
But as far as the show is concerned for this week, Reid, any final thoughts that you'd like to add on anything?
I think we now have perfected something. We want to change that something, and that's how we live our lifestyle. We just perfect something. We want to change it. You say, nah, enough of that. I want something better, something different. I'm going to perfect that.
Hey, we'll see how it goes in the coming weeks when we start changing things up and just, getting loose with this whole situation and just not worrying about the produced side of things all the time. So if you want to keep in touch with the show, of course, you can do so via social media at Weird News Weekly on Twitter. Listen to the show as well on SoundCloud, Stitcher, and iTunes. Also, watch the show on YouTube. You can rate, review, and subscribe in all those areas right there and get involved with the show with comments and all that kind of stuff. And that's pretty much it for this week. So we'll catch you next week with a ever so slightly changed format. Until then, I've been Ben Rogers. This guy has been Reid Marnie, and we'll catch you next time. See you, bye.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to rate and review the show on iTunes and follow on Twitter and Tumblr for more details on the covered stories. Just search Weird News Weekly. You can also be part of the show and give us your opinions on a story by sending a voicemail via the SpeakPipe app, or just click the voicemail link on the Tumblr page. Spoken by Sarah D and sped up like this because we like the way it sounds on the government ads.
And they've stuffed up in the past, Woolworths, so they've obviously learned their lesson the hard way, and they've come full circle.
I love how stern you got with that just then. They've stuffed up in the past, Woolworths.
They've stuffed it up.